Okay, 7:10, we're going to start with a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, first up is the Business Citizens Forum, pursuant to 551, shall allow this the public to justify our agenda. First, the Justice Council to agenda item 3 must limit her remarks to specific subjects that are considered by the council on that agenda item. All right, first up we have the consent agenda. This is the minutes of June 10th. There's a replat on Garza Lane. That's around the corner. For again, clarity, he owns 4 pieces of land. He just wanted to square up his boundaries. He basically just moved around his boundaries. So he didn't subdivide. If he subdivided his land into more pieces, that's a whole different animal. That's a subdivision ordinance, roads, everything kicks in. If you split your property, he didn't split it. He just, you're allowed to move common barriers. Like if you move the boundary line between you and the empty lot, you're allowed to do that. That's easy. So it did not go to the engineer. It's not required. It's just a simple replat. And Daryl signed the, I was out of town. So anyway, that's what that is there. It's just a rubber stamp. Anybody have any question about the minutes? I wasn't there, so the minutes, they good?
Eric Hancock did request to speak on the minutes, but he is not in the meeting.
Okay, so Eric requested to speak, so we will, we'll give him a chance at next. I know there's some issue maybe calling in, so we'll give Eric a chance at the next meeting as well. So why don't we, I propose then that, why don't we table the minutes until Eric's had a chance to speak about the minutes, and then we'll just approve the replat now. That make sense? Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna table the minutes item until next month, until Eric has a chance to talk on it, and then okay.
So we need a motion to replat.
We need a motion to
You just take no action, and I'll bring it back up.
Okay, so we'll take no action on that. We're just going to take a motion to approve the replat for.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the replat of 1525 Garza Lane.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve.
Second.
Serena has the second. All those in favor? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, next up on the regular agenda then, the first item is consideration of authorizing, we're going to table that until our August meeting, the bid creation, so we're going to move on. Next up, discussion of concrete road project. I think everybody sees the road project is essentially done. There is some issues about the final cost numbers. Bell wants us to pay them more money. We have a change order that says that we pay them less money. They're basically arguing with us over essentially Stowe Lane. They're trying to recoup the money they spent because of their defective manufacturing on Stowe Lane. And that's what it appears to be. So basically what it's boiled down to now is they're claiming that they had to move a lot more dirt than the project called for. But that's not how it's bid out. It's bid out as you have to remove this. We paid to have our engineering firm hire licensed surveyors to go out and topo the road, go all the way to the edge of the yards, up 15 feet of the yards. So we did all of that with our licensed surveyors, spent over $100,000 on survey work. And from that, they came up with all the quantities. When you lower this road a foot, here's what it is now, and they do big models on how much dirt they have to move around. Well, Ed Bell brought out their worker that surveyed it, and their worker, who's not a surveyor, came up with different numbers, and so they claim his numbers trump our licensed surveyor's numbers. And by coincidence, that's a lot more money. And that's not how the contract was bid out. The contract's bid out based on stuff. So they're reaching to try and find something. And obviously there's no way to go back and say, well, gee, how much dirt did you make? So, it'd be 5,000 dump trucks that have come and gone and bought to the sewer plant and whatever. There's no track. So basically they're reaching to try and get us to give them more money. The problem is that the amount of money that we're talking about is about $100,000. which is it's about 2% of the overall project to them, but it's about equal to 70% of our annual budget to run the city. So it's a big number to us, and it's a tiny number to them. They're just trying to save the budget. They're trying to save their project numbers.
Make their profit.
And we're not going to do it. We have a holdout as we go of retainage until the project is done. So we have about $250,000 in retainage that we keep until everything is done, and we're just sitting on that. They have sod to do, obviously a lot more sod work to do. The technical lingo is there is a start date and an end date under the contract terms, and if they miss the end date, there's a 5-day. If they go over the deadline, that deadline stops when it's substantially complete, which is the engineers write a letter and say, we now officially confirm you are substantially complete. And that stops the clock. And then they just tidy up and they leave. I don't know if they've sent that letter. I don't know if they're there yet.
Would Joe be able to tell us that?
Yeah, Brittany would tell me, but she's on vacation. So that was a question that we didn't. I talked to Joe today, and we don't know the answer to that. If they're not, if we haven't sent that letter, then every day they don't come out. They haven't been out in a couple days. Every day they don't lay the sod down. It's adding more time, and potentially we go back to them for whatever it is, like $1,000 a day, or I don't know. There's some stuff. It's built into the contract. And if they were to just literally walk away, what we would do is we would use the retainage and hire somebody and go against their maintenance bond. And it gets kind of ugly. But we're hopeful that they're going to get out here and finish. Other than that, it's done.
Glad to see it done.
Yep, good to see this stuff. The punch list they're still working on, but I think they finished a lot. It's very minor stuff, cracks and stuff, but until the sod goes down for the erosion, you cannot remove the stuff in front of all the inlets. If the inlets, you're not allowed to let the dirt go into the inlets. That's why it's a little bit of chicken and egg right now, where you want to clean out the inlet and let everything go in. They're not allowed to do that until the sod is in.
The sod is completely?
That's a sod completely.
Like the whole town? Or
No, like let's say where your place is over near your house, they haven't sodded any of that drainage area there. So if there was an inlet there, it'd have to have that bales and stuff around it and not let anything in.
Like the one across the street, that's outside, and I still think that the bales are there.
It might be because, I don't know. Yeah. So, but they've got to handle that. But we're working on it. Okay, any questions about this? Like I say, we're pretty much there.
Mr. Hancock is in the...
Oh, he's back. Okay. Eric, are you listening?
Can you hear me?
You there?
I'm here.
Okay. Are you ready to go on the, we skipped the minutes item on the consent agenda. So,
Good.
you want to talk about it? You want to do it next
No.
meeting? We can table it till next meeting, or you can talk to us now.
I'd like to talk to you now.
Okay. Hold on a second, Eric. Hold on, we got to turn it up.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Eric Hancock, 8249 Tremont Place, Frisco, Texas, 75034. I would like to request the council to withdraw the minutes from the consent agenda, and one of you council people would have to do that, and then not all of you not accept them tonight, or a majority of you, because they were once again created to conceal government criticism. Specifically, last month I was speaking about the mayor, Mark Vargas, and potentially his many misdeeds. Yet Linda will not dare mention my criticism in her report of what was said at these meetings, not once. When you strike all and look at what is before you for the minutes regarding my speech. I spoke 3 minutes. She's got 2 lines, no criticism. When you strike all the criticism, strike who is being.
Eric, we're losing you. You there?
Including critical.
Eric, we lost you there for about 10 seconds.
Hey, I'm back, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're there. Go ahead.
Okay. Section 551007, subsection E, a governmental body may not prohibit criticism of the governmental body, including criticism of any act, omission, policy, procedure, program, or service. So when she takes it out of the minutes, you're in violation. Hang on just a minute. If Linda will draft an official record each time I speak that carefully, painstakingly admits all criticism each time I speak, and you can't find it in these minutes that you have before you, then I have to wonder what's happening when the town auditor asks her for official financial records, because he's only responsible for what she deems as true, and you pass. I say our town audits are only as good as Linda's word, and you look at the use of deception and how she takes all criticism out of these minutes, the audits are worthless. Lastly, on these minutes, last time I was speaking, I gave the big idea. Mark said the minutes should show a big idea. They're definitely not in the minutes before you tonight, but I'll tell you again, what I said last time was that the big idea was that Eric Hancock had been speaking about corruption in Lakewood Village at 3 minutes a clip and said I would keep doing it at the Visitor and Citizens Forum. And therefore, Mayor Mark changed the Visitor Citizens Forum for the first time in Lakewood Village history, where no one can criticize the government unless it's on the agenda. I tried to put it on the agenda this time.
Eric, we're looking at the agenda. What we're doing now is we're talking about the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, so do not extend.
The minutes are, now when you quote the section of the local government code,
That's right.
you don't just quote section E underneath 517. You got to look at 517, what it says, and look at the subsections. Okay.
Good. Keep talking, Mark, because this will go to a grand jury. I love it. Keep talking, all of it. Let me know when you're.
Are you done?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So I asked.
We're going to move on to the next item. So you don't want the council to approve the minutes of the meeting. That's fine. Okay, so we've heard what you said.
I wasn't done.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, we'll talk to you in a little while when we get to the budget item, okay?
I wasn't done.
Okay.
I wasn't done.
All right, well, we're moving on to the next item. So
You're the
you
boss.
had your say. I got you. You had your say. We're moving on. Okay. All right, so we're back to the consent agenda, back to the minutes of the meeting. All right. Anybody have any questions about the minutes? Okay. Darrell has a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting. Who's got the second? What? Serena's got the second. All right. Motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, so back to the where are we? So we did this roads. All right, so we're up to discussion of the 2021-22 budget. Okay, so this is our first round of the budget. So I put that in there. I don't want to go through line by line right now. You can take a look at it. But basically, what I've done is I put in there some pretty conservative numbers. We still have some money coming from the state. It increased. Apparently, our population increased. So now instead of 200, like 80, we're getting now 238,000. Now they're going to give us for infrastructure. And the first half of that should be coming soon. Excuse me. So that's gonna morph its way into this budget at some point. Right now, none of that is in here. So one of the things that we have going on here is for us is trying to figure out the surplus and debt we're going to pay down, etc. So that's what we're trying to figure out. What I've done in here, first page, kind of a summary. Every numbers are up across the board. Sales taxes are up a lot. You can see the year-to-date numbers. Debt and CAD got us up about, I think the latest tax numbers I have it up, I think 15% on the appraised values that I have so far right now. And what I have done is I have plugged in about a 10% increase. Okay? So right now, if everybody goes and appeals and it works out like it is now, basically we're going to have more money. I've done a very conservative approach here. So everything looks good. If the budget goes according to plan, we'll have an operating surplus of about 200,000. We'll have an operating surplus of about 229,000. We'll transfer out money, and we should add about 135,000 to our reserves. Our reserves will go up under this budget, which is what we want. Okay. So here's the thing to think about timing-wise. We're in June now. Next, the budget that we're talking about starts in September and goes until next September. So essentially, we're looking at over the next 15 months, right? So if Todd's project gets underway this fall, if he actually starts selling lots and everything this fall, then within the next following 9 months after that, there's going to be some houses. There's going to be water and sewer, there's going to be taps, there's going to be houses. So it's likely these numbers are going to be way off if we get more houses, right? So we might be coming back before, like the next spring and saying, look, we got in these building permits here, 4 houses. Todd's got 22 that are ready to build, you know what I mean? So this budget is basically assuming status quo. If land plan, if First Texas land plan starts again in this fall, probably by next September, they would likely have stuff on the ground, which would affect this stuff as well. So we're planning if this budget is set up as if nothing happens. We have 3 more houses, 4 more houses, everything's status quo. We just have kind of a regular organic growth. But if any of that stuff comes in, or the stuff across the street, this budget gets blown up in a positive way. That makes sense? But you can take a look at each of the line items as you go through. I try to be pretty conservative. The takeaway from this is that right now we have about $750,000 in the bank in cash on the city side. We're going to use about $400,000 of that to write a check to FL. That's the gap that's left over what we have left to pay out. Okay? Now, let's go take our money back down to 350, 320, somewhere in the 3s, which is fine. But we don't want next year to be in the 2s. We don't want to go, we got to start climbing again. And this budget's showing we're going to climb next year. We're going to aggregate more to that general fund. We'll be on the upstream. And that's good for us, because then the next year gets a little easier. Each year we get a little bit more. And if those houses come in, we're really going to get more. And the goal again is in 5 years, we've got the money set up to pay off all bonds. We're debt free. That's still the goal. So that's the takeaway from this. On the utility side, everything looks really good. The flip side of the utilities are, I put in a call to our engineers. I'm going to back up a second. Let me back up to the city side for a second. So on the city side, there's a big wild card here. One of the wild cards is El Dorado. So I've started talking to Jim Warren about coming up with a master plan for El Dorado. Turn lanes, center lane, lighting, sidewalk, signage, the whole 9 yards for El Dorado to us to the bridge. So get the traffic guys, figure it all out, so we get a plan. So then we can tell each of these developers, this is what El Dorado is going to look like. because they have to do a lot of the legwork. But right now, if they said, are we going to have a welcome to Lakewood Village sign in the middle with a grassy area, I don't know. You know, are we going to have lights in Eldorado in the center median? Are we going to have dark skies, lighting? I don't know. We don't know anything. So the best thing for us to do is we have to update the thoroughfare plan anyway. It's been 5 years. So the master plan needs updating. So the thoroughfare plan is key to that. So now we're going to own Eldorado. We will own it. We own a chunk of it now. We're going to own more and more. So let's come up with that master plan. So in here, there is no engineering line that says, you know, thoroughfare plan, $50,000, 100, whatever it is. We don't know what that is yet. They're working on what that task will be. So the first step is sitting down with them and articulating kind of the scope. Then they run away and say, this is what we propose. Here's the actual tasks we'll do, and here's the cost. And I'm going to bring that to you at the appropriate time. I'm meeting them again next week. So we'll discuss that. But I think we have to have a plan for all the lot. Right now, it's ad hoc. I was telling you.
Are we trying to fit that into this budget, or is this something that we can do in year?
I don't know when we'll get it to the point we can finish it before September. We've got to September 30th for this year. Right? And unfortunately, all the stimulus money is for water, sewer, internet, bridges, everything but roads. Roads aren't in it. They kept that out. I think they're using that as leverage for the next year. So they're going to package roads with, you know, daycare and green stuff, and that's the next fighting thing, right? So anyway, that's coming, because we got to do that. I'm just letting you know. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'll come back to you and figure out, you know, usually we try and raise that next year, because I want to get finality on the road. It's like, you know, it's like somebody's got a credit card out there. We don't know yet what that final road budget is. I'm still getting bills from Kimberly Horn. They're still billing us because they're fighting with that bill.
Right.
You know, so basically we're still on the clock. So I really want to close that out, pay the final bill, and know where we stand on cash. So that's the general fund side. On the utility fund side, the wild card is this. So we're in great shape here. Everything's looking good. Our issue is that we have to put in another one. We need to do another one. And we need to do it now. So I started down that path. Kimberly Horn is also going to work on that for us, on that project, because that is just like the roads. Design, inspections, the building, the bidding, you know, the documents. We got to send it out to bid. It's just like doing the road project, right? So I talked with them. Yes. If it's over $50,000, you have to send it out to competitive bidding. And, you know, what's the depth, what's the casing size, right? So part of that is we did a well study. They want to update the well study. So part of what they have to do is, when we did the well study years ago, we had 1 acre lots. That was zoned 1 acre. Now they need to update and say, okay, now we think it's going to be, you know, 1,000 houses that you're going to be servicing. That means you're going to need wells to put out 700 gallons a minute. That means you need to, you know, your next well has to be X.
Right.
And so now they're talking to me that we're probably going to go down into the Twin Forks.
Is that deeper than the ones we're at?
Yes, we don't, because right now, in Biloxi, you've got 2 wells that are 50 feet apart that are each other. So in the long run, we're going to turn off one of those wells, because the wells are down to like 85 to 50. If you turn off one, the other one puts out like 110. So on the margin, we're getting very low because they're right next to each other in the same aquifer. So it's 2 straws in the same drink. It's not efficient. The Twin Forks aquifer is lower. It has more water, but the water has to be treated. Biloxi is the best water. The drink is coming out of the top of the wellhead. It's beautiful water. That's why everybody wants to get it in Biloxi. So,
The twin, which there was twin, what?
Twin Forks.
Twin Forks has to be treated in the sense of filtered and all that?
Depending on where we are, what it looks like, it might need to be filtered because it's got some turbidity issues. It's just sand. We have some minor, it's not a tragedy. I mean, it's not like it's got, chemicals in it or, carcinogens. It's just
Dirty?
yeah, it's a little dirty. Yeah. I don't know exactly. Yeah, so no big deal. But the initial cost estimates for that, what they're thinking is for that well will be running about $2 million.
That's including a treatment plant or whatever you want to call it?
That they think basically a good estimate right now would be $2 million to put the well in, have it run. It's the well, it's running the pipe to the plant, have the electronics, controls, basically make it an operation. About $2 million.
But not including whatever it takes to clean it up?
No, but he said it's going to seem to be. Because I was asking, I need a ballpark number. Because I'm talking financial advice, I need to know, is it 500,000, is it 5 million? I need to start planning.
Right.
Now, $2 million, I know to Eric, that's not much to you, but,
Yeah.
but it's not bad. So the way that the $2 million work, it's $2 million from Sixmark. Assuming that everything goes according to plan, when we service the other side of the street, that PID, that Public Improvement District, they have to pay their share of the well. Okay, so that well is going to service the whole city, so they're not required, we have to make them pay for that. But let's say they pay a third, because that area over there would be about a third of the usage, between a quarter and a third. And our PID will determine that, the engineers and the PID consultants. But they have to pay for that. So let's just say they pay a third. So that leaves, $1.4 million for us. We would borrow that money, no problem, we borrow money. Right now, we're filling up about $200,000 a year in free cash flow. So we can easily do the financing of that, no problem. But the important thing is, across the street, if it's 200 units, we have $4,000, $3,600 is our tap fee. So if you've got 200 units over there, that's $720,000. Land Plan has 135 units. That's $600,000. Todd's got 80 units. That's $320,000. So we have more than enough of tap fees to pay for it. It's just somebody's got to play banker until you get it in. So I'm not worried about it. It's like we're going to get reimbursed, but we literally have to play banker. And it's no big deal because we have the money to be banker. But that would probably, be like a 5-year loan. And that's because we're going to get all our tax fees, because we do it pretty quickly. So it would probably be a tax anticipation note, because those you can do for 7 years or less, and they're fast track. So it's probably what we would do. But I'm working with the FAA on that. They've already set me financing options. I'm working it out. But if we decide to move forward, that's definitely going to be next year. And if we do go in the twin, I said twin, well, it might be twin rivers. But anyway, if we go in that aquifer, then we could put that well right across the street there. It doesn't matter where we put it. We'll put it in close proximity. That way there's less height to it. And it would just fill the tank. It's a fill line. Okay, so literally it's the size of this tabletop. You've seen the well. It's about this table. That's the footprint. So if that happens next year, then it's going to muck up these financials again. We'll have to do a budget amendment because now our CapEx line is going to have $2 million rather than a little bit. So that's something that's in the works. The other thing in the budget that's in the works is we're working on sewer, on what we're doing with the sewer lines, on how we're going to deal with paying for that. So I'm going to give you some of that executive session, some of the things we're working on. But on that budget line, to me, the budget looks really good. There's a couple of items when you're looking at the budget in the general fund. When you look at the general fund expenses, there are some lines that are in blue there. They're blue. Those are lines which I'm proposing that the MVP take over. So, Linda Loudon is here, she can see. But anyway, that is, the MVP is going to do very well. They are doing well. They're going to do even better next year. They're doing, now back to water system, the MVP is going to have probably $70,000 or $80,000. So, and they're going to net about 50 of that. So the MVP is, we're going to offload some things to the MVP, more line items, and help us out at the city side. So we're getting cost estimates out. So we have to run the line down to the Circle K. We're working on that. So what the deal we're probably going to make, I'm going to come back to Linda about that, is the developer will probably pay a third, the city will pay a third, and the MVD will pay a third of running that line down to the Circle K, because the MVD and us are going to get sales taxes. And I think that's kind of the deal I'm working with the Circle K guy. We've got to run him 2 inches. And I don't know what that cost will be. We're working on the cost. It'll be $60,000 or less. But the MVD is sitting on about $60,000 in reserve right now. So, you know, if your share is $20,000, you know, you can write that check tomorrow. So that may affect, that might happen in the current year we're in, which would be some extra CapEx there. But that's what that blue line is. If there's other items you guys are thinking about it, just think about that. If there's other things you think the MVD can pick up on, then we'll let them know. Their meeting is later this month, right? About 2 weeks? Yes. About 2 weeks, the MVD's meeting.
Well,
Yeah, oh, yeah, baseball diamond. I think Eric Ferrari is going to come to you and let you know what ballpark's going to be.
Well, we're taking over the park anyway.
Yeah, you're going to hand over the parks and the mowing. I think you can mow parks and all of that.
Right.
That's explicitly under the MVD guide. So is recreation, like ballparks and all that. That's right in the wheelhouse. And I'm not opposed if the MVD borrows money.
Okay.
Well, let's just, I'm picking them out of the past now. Let's say that would be $100,000. You said, you know what, let's go to Point Bank and get a loan and, get a 10-year loan and we'll just throw, $11,000 at it for 10 years or whatever. So you don't need a budget to be cash poor.
No.
Right? That's fine. I think that's totally fine. Leveraging up, your cash flows, because your cash flow's not going to go away.
No.
The water systems aren't going to leave, and the sales tax is going to dry up. So, it's not like your risk, there's not a lot of risk there. You're the government. So, so I think we'll get to that. So, Eric, I think that's a good point. Yeah. So, and I think are they going to try to get you some estimates?
Yeah.
Soon, but even if you wanted to, they can't build it